Google just lost two of its greatest technical minds. Dean and Sanjay are leaving after 27 years, and it's triggering one of the biggest AI leadership shakeups in Google's history.
A true passing of the torch. It literally marks the end of an era for the foundational engineers who built the distributed systems of the modern internet and the dawn of a completely new chapter focused entirely on artificial general intelligence. To really understand where this tech giant is heading next, we have to look at who's leaving, who's stepping up to the plate, and why this reorganization kind of changes everything. Let's dive in.
So, think about this for a second. What actually happens when the architects of the modern internet leave the building? We aren't just talking about some executives moving around in a standard corporate reshuffle. No way. We are talking about the departure of the very engineers whose early fundamental code is the reason a simple search query can process across thousands of servers in a fraction of a second today. These are the folks who laid the concrete foundation for the web as we know it. So how on earth does a massive company adapt when its greatest builders decide it's time to walk out the door?
Section 1. End of an era. Google's builders.
It is honestly hard to overstate the monumental 27-year impact of one man, Dean. He joined Google way back in 1999 as roughly their 30th employee. By 2003, he had co-created the Google File System, which was this distributed storage system that essentially became the backbone of Google's entire infrastructure. Then, just a year later in 2004, he co-created MapReduce, absolutely revolutionizing how massive datasets are processed in parallel. Fast forward through decades of pioneering work with Google Brain, TensorFlow, and TPUs, and by 2023, he's sitting as Alphabet's chief scientist. His fingerprints are quite literally on every single era of Google's growth.
Section 2. The legendary code partners, Dean and Ghemawat. Now, what's really fascinating here is the title of Senior Fellow. This is Google's absolute highest possible technical rank. And for years, the only two engineers in the entire company to hold it were Dean and Sanjay Ghemawat. They actually met before Google at the DEC Western Research Laboratory, and they joined Google within months of each other back in '99. While Dean became the recognizable public face of Google engineering, Sanjay Ghemawat was the quiet genius working tirelessly right alongside him. This specific partnership was historically critical to transforming Google from a scrappy little startup into a global titan. Former colleagues describe their dynamic as a relationship built almost entirely on trust, with remarkably little ego. It's a legendary partnership in the tech industry. They didn't just divide their work up into separate silos and go their own ways. Instead, they practiced this fascinating form of pair programming. One of them would write code while the other sat right there, reading, reviewing, and thinking through every single design decision before they switched roles. Literally two of the brightest minds in the world sharing one screen, which, let's be real, is honestly a miracle they didn't drive each other crazy. But they built a future together.
And the fruits of that collaboration? Absolutely staggering. MapReduce effectively birthed the entire big data industry. Bigtable completely set the template for modern cloud databases everywhere, and protocol buffers became one of the most widely used data serialization formats in global software engineering. Dean and Ghemawat didn't just build Google products. Their papers, written over 20 years ago, are still taught in university distributed systems courses around the world today. They built the bedrock of modern cloud computing.
Section 3. Enter the discovery loop, the next chapter.
So, the news drops, they are leaving. But wait, it's not just Dean and Ghemawat walking out the door. They are being joined by Oriol Vinyals, who is a massive driving force behind AlphaStar and Gemini, and Kwok Lee, an absolute pioneer in large language models. What's unfolding here isn't just an infrastructure departure. It turns out this is an extraordinary, concentrated brain drain of both foundational distributed systems architects and frontier AI experts, all leaving together to start something completely new. So what exactly is this new venture? It's called Discovery Loop. It's a public benefit company focused purely on applying machine learning to accelerate scientific and engineering discovery. Let's be clear, this is not another consumer chatbot. They aren't trying to build another developer tool. They are focusing heavily on utilizing AI to help scientists and engineers make physical world discoveries in biology, material science, and highly research-intensive fields. It's a massive, ambitious pivot. Now, before anyone assumes there's some bad blood or a bitter tech rivalry brewing here, there's a really fascinating detail. Google is a founding investor. They are actually financially backing the departure of their own legendary engineers. This reveals that it's a super amicable, highly cooperative spinout.
Section 4. Google's next AI chapter, restructuring for speed.
So how is Google handling this? Well, CEO Sundar Pichai's mandate moving forward is crystal clear. move faster, focus on AGI, and push AI deeper into science. He's actually framing this massive departure not as a loss, but as a powerful catalyst. AI is entering a totally new phase, and Pichai argues that Google needs to restructure to organize exclusively around long-term artificial general intelligence research. This shift basically clears the deck and allows the company to reorganize for immense velocity.
To actually achieve that speed, Google is officially separating big-picture scientific research from day-to-day execution. On one side, Demis Hassabis takes over scientific leadership, focusing purely on AGI and deep scientific breakthroughs. Meanwhile, on the other side, Koray Kavukcuoglu steps up to manage operational execution, overseeing the engineering organization and pushing the immediate day-to-day development of the Gemini models forward.
The true passing of the torch here, though, is with Demis Hassabis. Not only is he the chair of Google DeepMind and the leader of Isomorphic Labs, but he is stepping directly into Jeff Dean's shoes as the new chief scientist of Alphabet. Hassabis really represents the absolute vanguard of AI researchers who are now taking the reins of Google's scientific future.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Why This Shift Matters, Past versus Future. When you zoom out, it really comes down to this incredible contrast between the past and the future. The past was all about building the foundation. For 27 years, Jeff Dean and Sanjay Ghemawat practically invented hyperscale computing, giving us Search, Hadoop, and the distributed databases that quite literally run our modern world. But the future? The future is entirely about exploring the frontier. With Demis Hassabis at the scientific helm, Google is pivoting its core focus toward artificial general intelligence, real-world scientific discovery, and advanced multimodal AI. It is a fundamental transition from the engineers who built the underlying hardware and systems to the researchers who are trying to build the intelligence that will run on top of it all.
Which leaves us with this final, profound thought to wrap up this explainer. The foundation is built, the systems are in place, humming across millions of servers worldwide, all thanks to the legends who just left the building. The infrastructure era is over. The frontier AI era has begun. So, are we ready for what it learns next?